Welcome back, friends, and today I'm reading Strange Things Are Happening in Creepers Stage Fright by Edgar J. Hyde, Chapter 13, Part 1. Showtime! The play opened with the scene in which the three witches chop off Jonathan's finger. Silence fell over the auditorium, and Miss Dobson noted, with some satisfaction, that the audience seemed to hang on every word, that there were audible gasps when the boy's finger was severed, and lots of loud boos as the witches performed their evil tricks. Curtains had been drawn over the windows, which ran from ceiling to floor on one side of the auditorium, so that besides the stage lights, it was almost completely dark. The spooky music provided by Miss Rankin has been a burst of inspiration. Miss Dobson congratulated herself. The atmosphere in the auditorium was electric. She turned her attention back to the stage where the raising of the dead scene was being performed. She listened as Jenny repeated her lines. "He grows warm. Let us complete our task." Then, as the witches clasped the palms of their hands together, they began to recite the incantation. "From cold and dark you once did rise. More time on earth, that was your prize. But no more evil, no black spells. Pray from us, go back to where you dwell." Miss Dobson looked quizzically as the three girls then searched underneath her chair for the copy of the script. Although parts of what they had said seemed familiar, there was something about it that didn't seem quite right. She thumbed through her dog-eared copy, causing the parents behind her to scowl at her. As she wrestled through her papers, she quickly found the part she was looking for. But no more evil. That's what they said, wasn't it? And she was sure they should have said, "To spread more evil, cast black spells." She glanced quickly at the faces of the audience members closest to her. No one had noticed, and of course they wouldn't. She assured herself not unless they were familiar with the script like she was. Just what she had thought. Everything was going to be all right. She had been so happy to see Melissa, Joe, and Jenny at school earlier that day. They had assured her that they had probably recovered and wouldn't let her down this evening, and now they were getting their lines wrong. A ripple of laughter echoed through the audience as the antics of one of the trolls who had come on stage. Miss Dobson relaxed. It really didn't matter that one of the incantations had been mixed up. She wouldn't put the script back under her chair. She would put the script back under her chair and just enjoy the rest of the evening. It was funny that all three of the girls had managed to get it wrong, though. Jenny's mom seemed to be the first person to notice the change in temperature, as it is usual at functions of this size. Rooms filled to capacity with people wearing winter coats, hats, and boots tended to be warm. Not tonight. Jenny's mother realized that she had been shivering from the cold and reached for the coat she had discarded earlier to wrap around her shoulders. One by one, most of the people in the audience did the same thing, donning scarves and gloves as Miss Perry got up and walked over to check whether or not the heat was on. The radio was ice cold, he whispered to Miss Rankin, and left the auditorium to speak to the janitor. Even the students on stage became aware of the icy cold filling the auditorium. Melissa and her two friends exchanged glances. "I think it's working," whispered Melissa, as she stamped her feet in a vain attempt to get warm. "The witches are upset. We're going to keep it up. We have to keep it up." Mr. Perry returned to the auditorium. He had been unable to find the janitor, and he himself had no knowledge of how the heating system worked. As the door closed behind him, a blanket of warm air followed him into the room. He touched the radiator as he passed, and was amazed to find that it was now warm. Mr. Rankin smiled and gave him a thumbs up sign, and he smiled back. He hadn't actually done anything to solve the problem of the cold, but Mr. Rankin didn't need to know that. "It's Gwendolyn," Melissa thought, as the warm air reached her. "She's fighting back." She smiled and crossed her fingers as she continued with the play. Acts 2 and 3 passed more or less uneventfully, although Miss Dobson noticed the girls get some more lines wrong. Nothing major, and nothing anyone else would pick up on. But maybe the last line of the spell would be incorrect, or a whole chant would be recited in the wrong order. It really was strange, after all. It was only meant to be Jenny who had suffered the concussion. Next and final act, Act 4, started off fine. It was the one that showed the witches conjuring up the powers of evil in order to help them banish good from Earth. The three girls knew this was the important one, the only one they could not afford to get wrong. Or right, to be more accurate. When the curtains opened, the huge steaming cauldron had been placed center stage, and the three witches stood beside it. The trolls and hobgoblins, their helpers, danced around the stage, alternately grimacing and shouting at the audience. The witches stood behind the cauldron and stared out at the sea of expectant faces. The spellbook had been placed on a podium to the right, and Melissa took it beside her and began to read. That's the end of part 1, but that's the final page, the picture. So, friends, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow us on social media, Funkyplaybrothers, and please support us by subscribing to our YouTube. Thanks for watching. Bye.